Warning: the following content may not be suitable for all listeners and contains crude humor that may be offensive to some. Listener discretion is advised. This is Satire is Not Dead. Why the circus music? Well, because we're living in one. Literally. I was sitting here listening to some music. I usually listen to some kind of a metal mix to get in the mood to record. Or I listen to music before I record, anyway. And just so happened to be listening to Tool. And the song that was playing was Anima, and the theme of it is, society is currently a three-ring circus. Ironically, at the same time, I get the news alert on my phone that Joe Biden is now president-elect and Kamala Harris vice president-elect. And I had a feeling it was going to go that way. But I'm a little bit more emotionally affected by it than I thought I would be. What a strange time. I mean, I'm not pissed off. I never was pissed off when I saw it going bad. Because... I'm 52 years old. I've lived through, several elections and seen some stupid stuff. And this is probably by far one of the, most frustrating to watch. But I'll get into that in just a little bit. Welcome to Satire is Not Dead, which is brought to you by Cinescape Media. If you would like to check out this program and their other programs, please visit Cinescape.media. And download, share. Please share our audio, our podcasts, and comment. Give us some feedback, and spread the word because there's a lot of great stuff there. Now, I named this podcast. Which is my 17th podcast. I'm calling it, I'd planned to call it, It's Already Happening. And that's the title I'm leaving. Because last night I finalized, I put notes together, kind of bullet points and things to keep me on track and not just sit here and ramble. And last night, of course, obviously, there was still no word on, who was going to win what state, and because mathematically Donald Trump was still in it, and so I put it together, thinking, today I'm going to go over it, and I'm not going to change what I'm doing today. I'm getting messages from my family because we're all pretty, we pay attention to politics and we vote, loyally and all that. So I'm getting messages. But I'm going to go over some things today, and I'm not glad that he was declared president-elect, but there's some things I'm going to go over that really prove that some people in this country, on this planet, on the globe, can see things coming, and they're intelligent enough and have the wherewithal to anticipate this kind of thing happening. Now, I'm like everybody else. I'm, if Donald Trump would lose the election fairly, then so be it. But something's wrong. I mean, you have to admit there's something not right about this whole damn thing. And I'm going to try to keep myself under control because honestly, I'm not pissed off about it because, uh, I have maturity on my side. I'm going to choose to use it. But it's disheartening because the people have no idea what they've just done, what they've unleashed, because the ones that the Democratic Party was appealing to are young and stupid. Oh my God, are they stupid? And I don't say that just to be insulting. They are ignorant to the point of being a baby. And I'm going to prove that in just a little while. I'm going to go through my diatribe, and then I'm going to get to something that someone shared with me, a family member shared with me, a news article. And I can prove it, and I have the past to attest to what's happening right now. And this is just a very small part of what I'm going to share with you. Is a very, very small part of the big picture of what's coming. So let's get into it. Since Donald Trump has been in office, he's not an eloquent speaker. He's not a good public speaker. He puts his fucking foot in his mouth a lot. I admit that. And I voted for him twice. But the man gets things done. And you can't argue with that. Now, you may not like the things he got done, but tough shit. Since his time in office, the Democratic Party has attempted to eliminate a legally elected president for a list of things: adultery, the Russia collusion bullshit, the dossier nonsense, the Ukraine. They blamed him for COVID-19, which is one of the dumbest things I've ever heard them try to pull. But when Barack Obama was in office, I distinctly remember them allowing people into the country with Ebola off of airplanes. They brought them in intentionally. And the Democratic Party didn't have a shit fit over that, and nobody raised hell, and except the people like, me and other ones like, what the hell are you doing, man? What the hell are you doing? And they also put him through an impeachment over abuse of power that was so fabricated that the Democrats didn't even bother to fucking use it in their campaign for president. They knew that it was just weak. There was nothing there. It was proven that there was nothing there. Now some of them may say, well, we just didn't want to stoop to that level. That's bullshit. If they could have put it in there, if they could have proven it, they would have proven it, and they would be beating him over the head with it. So that's horse shit. Some of the things I've been seeing, I watched the election, of course, Tuesday night. I didn't stay up real late because as soon as they said, well, we're not going to have a decision tonight, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to turn in at my normal time, get some rest so I can, go to work and not be all bleary-eyed and sleep deprived. I know a lot of people stayed up very late to watch it, but I did not. And we had just gotten back from vacation, my wife and I. Last Friday, I took vacation, and we just got in the car. We're empty nesters, so we have, a loose schedule whenever we're both not working. Just got in the car and drove. And it was something we've never done. We went up into northeast Texas from here and just visited some towns and slept in some hotels. We went to some wineries, did wine tasting, and had the fancy schmancy stuff. It was fun. And it was something I really needed because we, with all the hurricanes and shit and the kind of work I do down here, I was just, every day I dreaded going to work. And it really helped me reset. And my last day of vacation was Tuesday. So I lounged around the house. I'm a lifelong video gamer. I played some Xbox and just relaxed. And then, when the evening came around, I started watching the, the the results come in, and I have to laugh because if I don't, I'm gonna go insane. Honestly, it's just absurd. But it was looking legit for a while. Now, when I went to bed, it seemed okay. And then I got up in the morning. It was so lopsided. I'm like, what happened? What the hell happened? Um, so then I started watching the news during the day as I worked and watching podcasts talking about things that are going on. And it was just, I'm like, holy shit. What the hell is going on? And if it turns out everybody's wrong, fine, so be it. But you can't deny the fact that something looks bad, something's not right with this whole process. I was watching a podcast by some guys who were doing the Crowder election stream, and someone submitted video to them of a van unloading a cooler or coolers at a facility in Detroit, full of ballots to be counted. And the odd thing was, it was like 4 in the morning when there was no one there counting because they had stopped counting. That's why I went to bed, because they said we're not going to continue to count. And it was, without doubt, a municipal van. It was a generic white, no windows, with you see them all the time. Where no matter where you live, most of them are white anyway. With the municipal or parish or county or city logo on the sides of the vehicle, and to tell you that's a public vehicle that's working for the city or county or whatever. And it's just bizarre. I mean, no one can explain it. Honestly, to be perfectly fair, the guys that were showing the video over their feed, their live broadcast during election night, how they knew there were ballots in there, and I might be, shooting myself in the foot here, but I do believe in being objective and fair, but it was fishy. I mean, don't get me wrong, it was fucking fishy. If you would take you find the powers that be, whoever that governs that kind of activity, and show them the video, they probably would just say, well, yeah, I see a van. I see some people either loading or unloading some coolers. What's in the coolers? Maybe they're bringing them, food or whatever. But there was no one counting votes at the time. It was completely dark. For all they knew, it could have been fucking Buffalo Bill, trying to unload the goddamn chest coolers with one hand and a cast on his other hand. And some fat chick in the shadows, hey, mister, you need some help with that? Oh, would you? I'd sure appreciate it. Say, aren't you about a size 14? Just put the fucking ballots in the cooler, lady. It places the ballots where it's told, or else it gets the hose again. It's ridiculous. It could be, I don't know. I can't explain it. But it, it's frustrating. It's confusing for sure. And what do we do about it? We, as conservatives, we don't like it, but we don't react the way that Antifa and the BLM movement have been acting all fucking year. All year. You hear me? You've been seeing it. You know it. We don't react the way they do because we just so happen to believe and live by the rule of law and order. I know it sounds cliche, but that's what we do. We go to work, we come home, we support our families, we raise our kids, we send them off to college, et cetera, et cetera. We don't go out in the fucking streets throwing bricks, having hissy fits, burning buildings, turning vehicles over, like these pussies in Antifa and the Black Lives Matter movement, where the guys, I mean, they're probably all a bunch of fucking rich, spoiled rich kids who live with their parents still. That the guys, you see video of them, they are all, pipe cleaner arms, wearing skinny jeans, and have a overbite and a fucking lazy eye. And the female participants, I'll call them, are all fat broads that look like Caucasian sumo wrestlers with pink hair and maroon lipstick, and it looked like they had their head shoved into a fisherman's fucking tackle box, for Christ's sake. I mean, and then they wonder why they can't get ahead in life. They fucking tattoo themselves from ankles to bottom of their nose, and wonder why they're not treated fairly when they go look for a job, if they look for a job. And if their parents are supporting that shit, shame on them. But we don't do that because they're allowed to do it. Soros says, sick 'em, go get 'em, and they do. We do it, and we'd have a cop kneeling on the back of our neck faster than you can frickin' flip a dime. It wouldn't solve anything, and it doesn't solve anything on our side. And I was watching, I've always been a guy to watch Fox News because they're supposedly conservative and fair and balanced. Well, at this point, I have to say, fuck Fox News. They can go to hell. And I'll tell you why. People have talked about it, extensively since then. And there were so many things that were just askew in their broadcast. One of the glaring two things that really I'm going to talk about, what they were saying and what they were doing. It's been said over and over and over. But the guy in charge of the decision desk, as they call them whenever they do these election broadcasts, this guy by the name of Chris Starwalt, was the manager of their decision desk, and he is an outspoken liberal Democrat, and he was making them make calls on things that just didn't make any fucking sense. They were calling things after other states, organizations had called states. And the thing that pissed me off the most, because it was a visual, when they would show election, the numbers, when the numbers would change, they do the side-by-side with Joe Biden and Donald Trump, and they have their little profile picture, for lack of a better term. And then Joe Biden sitting there with his shit-eating grin, and the picture they chose for Donald Trump next to him was one of Donald Trump scowling. I'm like, what are they doing? Do they ask the candidates what picture they want them to use? I doubt it. I seriously doubt it. I mean, why didn't they use a picture of Joe Biden, with his nose in some prepubescent girl's ear whispering sweet nothings to her? Because that's been done. He did that on fucking camera in front of thousands upon thousands of people. But nobody wants to, circulate that. Donald Trump's frowning at one time, and that's what they choose to use. Get really... it's just a mess. And I, as far as Fox goes, I can only hope Tucker Carlson gets the fuck out of that network, because they're going to ruin him like they're trying to ruin Sean Hannity. Hannity at one time is where Tucker Carlson is. and they moved Sean Hannity's time slot back to later in the night, where I'm sure it's still considered prime time. But I just got another message. I'm sorry. But it was definitely not a. I mean, I don't know if it was a demotion, if he lost some of his exorbitant salary with Fox, but he's still there. He's still doing the same thing he's been doing. Now Tucker Carlson is the new kid in town. I'm assuming, but he's very sharp. He pulls no punches. He tells the fucking truth. And I just wish he and Hannity as well go the way of Glenn Beck. Go build your own subscription-based channel or whatever you call it, and shit can Fox News. Guys like Hannity and Tucker Carlson, they don't need Fox News. I can't imagine that they depend on Fox News to keep them busy. There's no way. They're too smart for that. And I can only imagine why they would work for a company like that, because it was, they purported themselves to be something they aren't. And, this whole situation with the election, to me, is it's the equivalent of a football team allowing the retarded kid to score a touchdown. And I know that's ugly, but there's logic behind it. That would mean that the opposing defense, is complicit in allowing this touchdown to happen. I think that our side just doesn't push back hard enough. I'm sorry, I do, because in the past, I've seen it. During the Obama term, the fucking Republicans sat on their fat asses and collected their paychecks and didn't do a damn thing for the people. But you know what's going to happen? The Democratic Party, and they said they're going to do this, Joe Biden said it himself, they're going to raise corporate taxes again. Corporations will go back overseas. Fracking oil and coal will suffer, which means we'll have to do business with the Middle East again. Ugh. We'll go back to sending our soldiers over there to fight, to help them or whatever, to get what we want from them. And I'm going to explain in just a little while why our country does that. We, without a doubt in my mind, the Biden administration, if they so, actually are, become the next administration to move into the White House, they're going to go back into the Paris Accord. You can bank on it. And I know that's true because they're believers in this global warming thing. And the article that was shared with me, and when I read it, I had a flashback. And I'll tell you why. I'm going to start getting into the article. I'll hit the high points, and I'll do some commentary on parts of it, and tell you how I know exactly why it's true, and that is, it is actually happening. There was an article, and the title is the Shell Oil Corporation is to shut down a plant in a community in Louisiana called Convent. Convent. It's, most people pronounce it Convent, but they pronounce it Convent. And this was reported by WAFB in Baton Rouge, which is a very prominent television station in Baton Rouge. It says the Shell refinery in Convent will begin shutting down later in November. The company confirmed Thursday, November 5th. That is 3 days after Election Day. 3 days. The plant employs nearly 700 workers and 400 contract workers and opened in 1967 as a Texaco refinery. And this is the part that really pisses me off, and it proves why we're going back into the Paris Accord. Shell says the move is a part of a larger plan to reduce the number of its refineries as it transitions to a low carbon future. Low carbon future. And if you don't know what that means, I'm going to explain it. This has to do, you've heard the phrase carbon emissions, carbon footprint, carbon taxes. A carbon footprint is the amount of carbon dioxide and other carbon compounds emitted due to the consumption of fossil fuels by a particular person, group, etc., etc. It's so subjective that it makes no sense. And it's all about money. It's all about money and power and control. And the purpose of quote unquote this carbon emissions monitoring shit, how they do it, I have no idea. Is what they do is they tax these corporations on their calculated carbon footprint. And the purpose of it, is naturally to make money and to hurt the company, and just tax them half to death. Well, emissions of carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases are changing the climate according to this fucking global warming horse shit. And a carbon tax puts a price on those emissions, encouraging people, businesses, and governments to produce less of them. A carbon tax's burden, and this is very important, would fall most heavily on energy-intensive industries such as Shell and all the other oil companies and the coal companies and so on and so on. But also places a burden on lower-income households. And you know what that means? It means the Democrats, which they've been doing for a long, long time, once again have used the poor community, the fucking non-critically thinking for themselves people who are living off of the government, making promises to them that they never deliver. They've been pimped out again because this is going to affect them. And supposedly how a carbon tax helps the environment, one critical way is through carbon pricing, which is, placing a tax on every ton of greenhouse gas emitted, thereby making cleaner alternatives economically competitive. And here's another kicker. It's also very important. When fossil fuels cost more, people use less of them and seek cheaper renewable alternatives. So they cause the price of gas to go up. It's intentional. Don't blame the oil companies. The government is forcing them to raise the price. These companies are there to provide a product, provide a service, and to make a profit at the same time. It's what this country's based on. And people that say, oh, well, they make too much money anyway, go fuck yourself with that shit. Get off the couch, get out of your mama's house at 28, 29 years old, get a job, and go start earning your wealth. Shit. And Shell says it's going to help its employees find work at other Shell locations, blah, blah, blah. And, they can only do so much. These companies can't just make calls for every employee that's there and place them somewhere. What that means is they allow the employees to look for a job while they're still working there. And I know this is true because I've been through it. This refinery is designed to process nearly 240,000 barrels of crude oil daily, producing unleaded gasoline and other petroleum products. That's gone. That's a shortage of 240,000 barrels daily as of when they said they're going to shut down. It is a 4,400 acre facility. It's not just this little fucking Walmart parking lot size thing. It's a big, big facility. Oh, it just pisses me off. Shell has announced the shutdown of its Convent refinery in Louisiana. The decision is part of the company's global strategy. Now, see, Shell says it's, trying to improve their carbon, participate in the carbon, reducing carbon footprints and all that. And The decision is part of the company's global strategy to invest in a core set of uniquely integrated manufacturing sites that are also strategically positioned for the transition to a low carbon future. The shutdown process will begin mid-November. That's a week away, right before the holidays. They're doing this. These people are going to lose their fucking jobs. In July of 2020, it was shared that the Shell Convent refinery was being marketed, and they were shopping around to find a buyer. Now, years ago, I was a contract worker for British Petroleum. Most people know them as, just BP. And everybody remembers, unless you're too young to remember or to know about it, the big accident that happened in the Gulf of Mexico with BP's one of their platforms. One of their oil rigs or wellhead or something exploded, and there was this, a fire for weeks and weeks, and oil was spilled all over the Gulf of Mexico, even though the ocean floor, seeps crude oil all the time. BP was, rightfully so. They had paid fines, and because people died and all this stuff. Well, time goes on, and I end up becoming a contract employee working at a BP facility here in Louisiana. I was in the engineering department. I wasn't an engineer. I was a draftsman, but I worked closely with the engineers, designers, and industrial planners and all that. And it was a very good job. You could say what you want about big companies; they pay their employees well. What happened at the time was it was identical to what I just read you. The year of the 2008 election, several months before the election, BP called a meeting, pulled everybody into the meeting, and said that in the coming months that there would be an important company decision made and announcement of what it would be. And that's all they would say. And everybody out there knew they're watching the election. These companies have some very intelligent people at the upper tiers, and they watch this shit. They have their finger on the pulse of every country that they do business in, especially when there's an impending transfer of power. And I know they were watching to see who was going to win the election in 2008, because the Obama campaign also promised to tax the coal companies and oil companies into bankruptcy. And that was so that they could, create these companies that failed miserably to create green energy. Well, election day comes around. Doesn't go our way. Barack Obama got into office, or was elected as president, and Joe Biden was his vice president. The day after the election, BP called everyone into a meeting again and said that they were no longer interested in doing business in North America and would be decommissioning the facility. This is the same thing. These guys, you can say what you want about them. I wouldn't stick around for it. And, for them to leave because of the money they make, these carbon taxes are fucking ridiculous. It's a made up scheme to basically blackmail these companies. That's what's happening here. These guys were watching the election, and November 5 was before a decision was made. But they can see the writing on the wall. They have some very smart people that watch this shit. Hell of a lot smarter than the fucking voter base that got this goddamn thing where it is. And you know, all the fishiness and all that other stuff, I'm not going to talk a hell of a lot about that, but if the people were thought for themselves enough and did enough reading and weren't so stupidly selfish, this voter fraud thing that's being talked about wouldn't even be a factor. But people that don't live in this region don't understand the oil industry or the coal industry, and the only thing they know is that they bitch and wail whenever the fucking price of gas goes up, but they're too dumb to understand why it went up, and they're doing it to themselves. So good for you. Congratulations, you got what you fucking wanted, and then you're gonna cry a few months from now when gas goes up. At the end of the Obama administration, it was about knocking on $5 a gallon. Down here now, the regular unleaded is less than $2. The premium is right at $2, maybe a little bit more. It's ridiculous. This is a classic case of the Democratic Party cutting its own nose off to spite its face. And the fucking retards that voted for them. I don't feel sorry for them at all. If they want to get off their ass and do something, let them go back to throwing rocks in the streets, because that's all they're good for. These fucking... It's a fucking zombified army of potato-headed dunces. And honestly, that's a freaking insult to potatoes, because you can take a potato and make a very rudimentary radio out of it. I doubt the brains of these fucking morons who are celebrating in the cities right now, that's standing up with their dumbass phones making videos, if their brain could even generate enough fucking electric power to make a simple radio. They can't even think for themselves. And then, on top of all that, our governor, John Bel Edwards, a Democrat, a liberal Democrat, releases a statement about the closing of the facility. We are disappointed to learn that the Shell's Convent Refinery in St. James Parish will be closing in the near future. This is a difficult decision for Shell. I doubt it. I hope Shell told them to go screw themselves. And a challenging time for the company's 700 convent employees and their families. And that's the truth, because these things happen right before the holidays. You want to talk about a depressing holiday? I went through this knowing wasn't going to have a job, and I had to look for another one during the holidays. You know what companies don't do during the holidays? They don't do shit. They don't spend money. They don't hire, because they're in the last quarter of the fiscal year. Hopefully these, the employees were smart enough to save money. Man, I swear to God, this pisses me off more than the actual election itself, because we've been through it. None of you, I encourage anyone that listens to this to please share it. Hopefully and I don't think we're going to change anyone's minds, but these dumbbells that voted for, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, they don't know what they've done. They have no idea. They're too stupid to take their eyes off themselves, back away from everything, and look at the big picture. And the governor goes on to say that the state of Louisiana will support them in every way that they can through the Rapid Response Unit of the Louisiana Workforce Commission. You know what that is? It's Louisiana's fancy way of calling it unemployment. That's their way of helping. They're going to allow, there is their fucking right to apply for unemployment. Unemployment in this state is a joke. I don't know about other states. I can't speak into it. It is a joke in this state. When these people work in refineries like I did, and these guys as technicians and engineers. The engineers usually do fine because they can move around and go find work elsewhere. But the guys that are doing the work, the draftsmen, the pipe fitters, the welders, all that, they're fucked. It's easy to find a job in this country. It's difficult to find a specific job in this country. And people that work in these places have specialized skills. You're going to take 10, 15, 20 years worth of honing your craft and go flip burgers? No, you can't afford to. Oh, it's freaking mind-boggling. Oh, and then he does the kiss-ass thing, calling these talented workers within our state are their prioritized placement. He ain't going to do shit. He ain't going to do anything. He is not going to place anything. And it's important to note that Shell is reducing the number of standalone refineries company-wide in favor of consolidated industrial sites that integrate refining and chemical operations. The decision is not due to a lack of competitiveness on the part of Louisiana's business climate or workforce, and the company will continue to operate many vital assets here. He never addresses the carbon issue. Never. And he won't. Because I think even he knows it's fucked up and it's bad. The governor goes on to say, I have asked Shell to work with us in reemploying workers of the Convent refinery at other locations. Go to hell. You're not going to do anything. They're going to be on unemployment. They're going to deal with that mess. They're going to see how much they get, how little they get on unemployment. And it's not even, whenever you work for a long time and make good money, the unemployment might make good spending money. It's retarded. It's retarded. And I can only hope that, the executives, and I doubt they did, but I hope somebody used their business speak and legalese to tell the governor to go shove a post up his ass. So then the St. James Parish president, Pete Dufresne, who's also a liberal Democrat, commented on the refinery's closing, saying, the facility has consistently been the largest taxpayer in St. James Parish. Therefore, its consolidation will certainly have an impact on our community and supporting businesses who rely on industry. You see, this is what I'm talking about. He's bitching about losing a large tax revenue, and it's caused by something that they support. That's what I mean. Cutting their nose off to spite their face. And I hate that for the people that work there. But good for Shell. You know what fucking BP did after the election? They took their business because the Obama administration placed a drilling moratorium on them and would not allow them to drill new wells. They said, all right, fuck you. They took their platform off the coast of Brazil and they're making tons of money. Doing the same thing they could have done in our Gulf. And he complained, oh, yeah, pussy. Dufresne says the parish received no warning the Shell facility would be closing. Who gives a shit? They don't have to. They're getting screwed. They don't have to tell you they're leaving. Fuck, you're not their landlord. Dumbass. And he says the impact on the parish would be detrimental. You right about that? And he repeats again, it's been the plant has been the largest taxpayer in the parish for many years. I hope it hurts, Dufresne. I hope it hurts you. Shit. He says the meaning of the closing is the loss of the facility will cause a large impact on the surrounding economy. He's hopeful the facility would be repurposed for another facility in the future. He believes the closure may be related to COVID-19. However, the company has given no indication that's the case. They're contradicting what Shell said, Shell's reason for closing the facility. They're saying it has something to do with COVID-19. COVID-19 has nothing to do with carbon footprint, carbon emissions. At the beginning of the article, first thing Shell said, we're leaving because we want to move towards a more carbon-friendly, a business standpoint. So they're full of shit. If they really believed in that, they would say, we're proud of Shell for deciding to contribute to the, reduction of carbon emissions in the state of Louisiana. The parish president also says he believes officials at Shell will be working closely with parish officials to soften the impact on the community as much as possible. What are they going to do? They're going to fucking blackmail Shell? Holy shit. It is so frustrating to see this. It was happening before today, before they announced that Joe Biden was the president-elect. And like I said, I'm not pissed off about the election. I'm concerned, and I know people, and I've spoken to people who are very pissed off because of the way it all transpired and is transpiring. The president hasn't conceded yet and said he wouldn't, however long ago. So we'll see how that holds up. They go through the legal system, which they probably will if they're not doing it already. But tell me this, what judge wants to have this footnote in his reputation as being the judge who the Democrats will say gave the presidency to Donald Trump? Because that's how they're gonna, put it across to the people. They're gonna say, if this thing is overturned, it was given to him. He didn't earn it. So it's lose-lose. And a long time ago, let's say a long time ago this year, when they started pushing the idea of mail-in paper ballots, that everybody knew it was rife for corruption. Oh, son of a bitch. And I see people, celebrating and they got what they wanted and blah, blah, blah. They're going to see. It's going to happen. What I just described, this thing with Shell Oil, is there's 700 employees in the state of Louisiana. Shell Oil has been around forever. They got people all over the United States. So you take 700 employees, and let's say they have an average of three people in their family, including themselves. That's 2,100 people. 2,100 family members who are going to suffer. They're going to go through the anxiety and fear and wondering, probably won't, have as good a holiday as they would have whenever their, the relative was working full time, knowing this shit's coming down. And this whole paper ballot nonsense was under the guise of protecting the voting public from the COVID-19, which at this point, man, I try not to be a conspiracy nut or a conspiracy theorist, excuse me. If this thing wasn't planted here, they took full advantage of it. The Democrats did. They took full advantage of it because it has been nothing but a fear campaign. It's never been a doubt in my mind that it's a real thing because I have a relative in the medical industry. It is real. It's a terrible thing. Whenever you get it and you go critical, it's bad. But everything surrounding it has been nothing but a fear campaign. And what they've done in this country, they've created so much division. These talking heads on TV say, this country is divided right down the middle. Bullshit it is. Think about it. If you take a pizza and call it the United States, and don't forget Alaska and Hawaii, yeah, put a freaking piece of pepperoni on the northeast side, that's Alaska, and a couple of olives on the northwest and southeast side, put some olives, and that's Hawaii. And this is the United States. You start cutting that pizza up, according to what I know, and everybody else knows, they may not admit it, the divides in this country between black and white, that's one cut. the straight and the LGBTQ whatever, alphabet soup. That's another division. Immigrants and citizens. That's another one. Cops and, certain people who won't fucking behave and get their ass kicked or shot to death because they won't behave. That's another division. You keep going and following everything every way we're divided up, Republican and Democrat. And there's another message. Thank you, Apple. Fucking asshole. By the time you get finished going over all the divisions in our society in the United States right now, that pizza would be nothing but slivers. One piece wouldn't feed a fucking Ethiopian long-distance runner. It's pathetic. And I see people on Facebook, before the election, people on Facebook that I know who are liberals and support the Biden campaign, posting stuff like, if you vote for this man, and they put a picture of Donald Trump up, we can't be friends. Why is that? If you're so close-minded and stupid that you can't have a different opinion and still coexist with someone else, you're the problem. And I was watching, I was reading that update I got on my phone. I've been watching the TV next to me on mute. And whenever this decision, when it was announced that Joe Biden was declared the president-elect, Kamala Harris was on a run in wherever she was, in some park, jogging. Someone made a video of her making a phone call. I don't know if Joe Biden called her, if she called Joe Biden. The way it sounded, she called him and said, "We did it, Joe. We won the election." Well, was someone following her around constantly, just in case it happened, so they could get that on video? It stinks. It fucking stinks. And finally, I'm going to tell you why I'm not angry. During the 2008 election, I was very bitter. My family was anxious. I was anxious after the election because I was going to lose my job. And at the time, I was a news bug. Every day, all day, I would watch Fox News until I went to bed. I would listen to News Talk Radio. And when Obama was elected in his first term, I was not happy about it. But I told myself, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Give him a chance. Maybe he's this revolutionary that they made him out to be, even though they built him up to messianic proportions, which no human being can live up to. And so maybe he'll deliver, and things will actually get better. Well, 4 years go by. As soon as he gets in office, he returns Teddy Roosevelt's bust, goes on the fucking apology tour. And besides all that, it was an abject failure. He was worse than Jimmy Carter. And I'm old enough to remember Jimmy Carter crying on a State of the Union address. I was watching it on TV because Daddy was also followed politics closely. So then the election comes around for Obama's second term. And I'm thinking, yeah, no problem. There's no way with his track record at this point that he's going to get reelected. And he did. And that was one of the times I stayed up late watching. And I was like, I cannot believe this shit. I'm not believing what I'm seeing. Excuse me. And I went through a period of anger, me and my whole family. Depression. Couple of weeks. Went back to work. That's and at the time, you go to the office the day after, and this area is by and large Republican. nobody talked. Nobody wanted to talk about it. Everybody just was quiet and did their work, and eventually kind of started making small talk. But I made a decision. I was so pissed off about the Republican Party not doing anything, the news beginning to use their fucking propaganda nonsense, and I just walked away from news, television, and radio, everything. Even Rush Limbaugh, he says, well, you need to stop watching, television and listening to everything else. But don't stop listening to me. And I stopped. Fuck it. And I got better. I was happier. I didn't think about politics all day, every day. And I did that. I didn't plan to for about a year. It just so happened about that 1 year later, I decided to start paying attention to the news again and slowly getting back into watching politics. And I have to say, anybody wanting a piece of advice, you need to do what I did. Because when I started watching again, I saw things in a completely different light. Completely different. I could see that there's virtually no line between the Republicans and Democrats. The only time there seems to be is during an election season. Any other time, it's the rich boys club. They put on a show, act like they're against each other and all blah, 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 and nothing gets done. And I'm going to tell you something. Joe Biden getting into office, I think he's going to follow through on his tax things because it, profits them. But the lies, the campaign lies, and I don't mean just Democrat, it's happened in Republican administrations, which piss me off just as much. What it takes to get them to that position of power, they're so indebted to their benefactors. The reason they can't follow through on their promises is because they spend their entire term returning the favors to their benefactors. They made promises to them. Hey, look, we supported you and financed your campaign, so now you gotta, pay up. And that's why politicians don't do what they say they're going to do. They don't work for us. They don't. They don't care. They don't give a shit. As far as global warming and this whole carbon footprint thing, years ago, I was, and I don't know if it still exists, if it's called something else. There was a document that the government created called the UN Agenda 21. And they had summits, and they would meet over it and discuss long-term plans on how to improve living conditions on the planet. And one of the things that people don't realize is that human beings create and leave a carbon footprint according to their science. And I read many parts of UN Agenda 21, and I'll tell you something. It's worded in there that the human race, the human population, is considered a non-sustainable commodity and that it needs to be reduced. That's what your politicians think of you. And there's ways that they're working on, reducing the population because, there's too many of us. It's frightening when you read it. I mean, don't get me wrong. Whenever Bush was in office and after 9/11, I was all for go get the enemy and fucking tear them apart and all make them pay. But whenever they pushed the Patriot Act through, I did not like it. I didn't like it because I read some of it and it's just there's too much overreach. Too much. And they pushed it through saying, hey, look, if y'all want us to go get these guys, we got to do this thing. So what's it going to be? And you can't tell me the most powerful fucking country on the planet, they couldn't use what they had and go out and get these terrorists. I don't buy it. I don't buy it. Anytime the government does something like that, that helps them. And then goes back to, um, no knock warrants. They could detain people without question if they thought they were a terrorist threat. All kinds of shit like that. With warrantless wiretapping. And look at social media. It's basically warrantless wiretapping. Yeah, we have 3 Alexas in our house. You don't think the things pay attention the whole time, because sometimes they chime into conversations, and I'm not kidding, because someone says a series of syllables that sounds like Alexa, and that's what activates the damn device. So I'm not being paranoid. I'm kind of getting off track here, but I'm trying to make the point that back away from everything and look at all of it. Don't just look at what you're interested in. They don't care about us. And Donald Trump has said he's going to, he's not going to concede, and he's going to contest and all this. I hope so. I just can't see it working out that way, though. I think they'll go through the motions, but I don't trust them as far as I can throw my truck. It's really sad. Now look, don't let this thing define you. And I know there's a lot of conservatives out there who are angry, and rightfully so. I don't blame you. I've got maturity on my side, and I've seen things. We've been through a lot. This region of the country, this thing about Shell Oil really breaks my heart, because the Gulf Coast has been through the fucking ringer this year. At this point, 5 hurricanes. There's some system dicking around by Florida that's a tropical depression, I think. But we have high pressure in our region to kind of keep it to the east of us. But this is just a kick in the nuts and the gut at the same time for these guys who work in this refinery. And so if you're angry, good. Yeah, I understand. Just don't. I've always, thought, and sometimes I do. Of course, I'm human. I've thought and said and tried to raise my kids by telling them, look, it's okay to be pissed off. It's okay to be angry. Just don't act according to your emotions. And the difference between conservatives and the liberal pawns who don't realize that the middle class of this country is being destroyed. The difference between us is they are prompted, to use the new age word, triggered by the news media. But we don't do that. And don't let it affect you that way. We're going to be fine. Things are going to be fucking weird for a while. If Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are actually sworn in, it's going to make the salivary glands start to secrete, which is what happens before you vomit. But don't go out there and act according to your emotions, because we're better than that. We are much better than that. Be gracious in the defeat. And I hate to say that, but it's the way to go. Don't fucking go out there. Don't bitch and moan and argue and, get into it with because that's what they want. Just do what you do. Do what the middle class does. We fucking support this country. That's what we do. We get up every day. We go to work. We raise our families. Our kids graduate. I'm fortunate. Me and my wife are blessed beyond, the time it takes me to tell you this. Our kids are all grown. They're healthy. They're happy. They're making good livings. Or we have 5 grandchildren. They're healthy and happy, well adjusted. We don't worry about our grandchildren. Our kids don't depend on us. Unlike the fucking dumbbells who voted this shit in. They don't know. They have no idea. And, they're never going to accept it because when gas goes up, like it said in the article, the people who can't afford it are going to start to seek out alternative methods of transportation. You tell me you can't fill your car, your fucking gas tank, when gas is $5 a gallon. Do you think they can afford to buy an electric car? These people are too stupid to get out of their own fucking way. Good God. That's the stuff that angers me. And I'm not some big humanitarian, but I really, really feel for the dummies at the bottom. Because they think they're getting what they want. And why do they never say it? Why do they never say, after election, didn't you forget about us? Why? God damn it. It's people who exploit the system, live on welfare their entire lives. And I will tell you, I know people that do that, and it's just as much work as having a real job. So why not just fucking go out and work? Huh? You can make more money. Get the fuck out of the house and go do it. Damn it. So we're going to be dealing with this the best way we can. Yeah, it's going to be kind of interesting at first. Honestly, Joe Biden, whenever he was on the campaign trail, there was times, and even before at the debates, he looks unsteady. I don't know if anybody noticed, just as a side note, I'm kind of rambling here, but tough shit. It's been a rough few weeks for us. I'm going to just talk. I don't know if it was the last debate my wife and I watched together, or some other speech he made, but I think it was the final presidential debate. At the end of the debate, Joe Biden goes off to the side of his side of the stage, or whatever event they were at. But I remember this distinctly because my wife said, "Oh, look," and then we pulled it up on YouTube later because I was, doing some writing and wasn't looking at the TV screen when she was. At the end of the debate, Joe Biden goes over to his side of the stage and is, kind of waving to, people that are applauding them. And Joe Biden's wife was wearing a mask, walked up behind him. He was right on the edge of the stage. And she put her hand on, I don't know if it was his shoulder or maybe on his ribs, where his rib cage is. And he jumped. She startled him to the point. He jumped and got the big eyes and turned around, and you could read his lips as clear as day. He said, "You almost pushed me off the stage." He's not well. And I'm not laughing to make fun of him. I'm laughing because it's tragic. What the hell is he going to do? His team is already what they described as we're moving forward with the preparations for transfer of power. What does that mean? They're putting elevated toilet seats on all the fucking toilets in the White House and putting, the lifts on all the stair rails because he can't walk up and down them. I want to see him come out of Air Force One, Air Force Two the first time. If he doesn't faceplant, I'd be surprised because sometimes when he's walking away or walking to a podium, he does not look steady. He does not look well. And I don't know how it's going to happen. But Kamala Harris is going to step in and she gets to choose her vice president. I don't know what the qualifications are of who can be chosen, but I think it's going to happen. But what my hope is, at some point, Joe Biden will be declared, unfit to serve, And I hope and I pray that he fights it, because no elderly person, whenever they start getting into whatever's going on with them, whether it's, you know, dementia or Alzheimer's or fucking, I don't know, if he took speech therapy with fucking Bob Dylan, who knows what the hell the problem is. I hope he fights it, because they're, you know, a person's pride, whenever they get to that point in their life, they fight it and they fight it. And if they do declare him unfit and he does not fight it, that tells me he just knew and he's okay with it, and he's, you know, got the best fucking retirement package in the universe, and he's going to go with it just to get their agenda pushed forward. I really feel bad for the guy. You know, this shit borders on elderly abuse. It really does. Son of a bitch. Anyway, I hope you all behave. I know we will. We have to. That's just who we are. We're going to go to work tomorrow or Monday or whenever, you know, our next day to show up at work is. We're going to earn our money, and we're going to, you know, take care of our family, and we're going to be responsible. And the fucking mouth-breathing shitheads, the spoiled brats, I hope they are gracious in their victory. I can't see it happening, but I'm hopeful. But God damn it, get out of your fucking parents' house and go to work. Son of a bitch. That's all I have this time. If it was a little disjointed, it's because, well, you know, when I was getting ready to do this, I got the notification, like I said, of, you know, they called it. Well, the press called it. AFP called it. You know, who gives them the fucking authority? I don't know. What makes it officially final? I don't know. Damn it. So I'll be talking to you again. Once we get out of hurricane season, I'm going to go back to weekly podcasts. At this point, it's been erratic, and I don't want to commit to every week, because who the fuck knows what other kind of storm is going to come up here and want to peel out on the Gulf Coast again. So have yourselves a great week, everybody, and keep your head up. Of all things, behave yourself. Don't act like them, and be who we are. See you next time.